Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to wake up and face the hard truth. We have been coddling ourselves and each other for far too long. The world isn't a soft, cushy place, and it's high time we toughened up. Now, I'm not saying you should be cruel or unkind, but there's a world of difference between being kind and being soft. Kindness comes from strength. Softness, that comes from fear. Fear of confrontation, fear of failure, fear of being disliked. And let me tell you something. Fear is the enemy of success. You see, success isn't handed to you on a silver platter. It doesn't come knocking on your door asking politely if you would like a slice of the good life. No, success is out there in the wild, and you have got to hunt it down. You have got to be willing to get your hands dirty, to face rejection, to fall down and get back up again and again. But how can you do that if you're soft? If you crumble at the first sign of difficulty? If you're so afraid of hurting someone's feelings that you never speak your mind? If you're so worried about being liked that you never stand up for what you believe in? Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I met a young man who was always complaining about his job. He hated his boss, hated the work, hated the commute. But every time I suggested he look for a new job, he'd come up with a dozen excuses. What if I don't find anything better? What if I'm not qualified? What if I fail? This young man was soft. He was so afraid of change, so afraid of failure, that he was willing to stay miserable rather than take a risk. And you know what? 10 years later, he was still in the same job, still complaining, still miserable. That's what being soft does to you. It traps you in a cage of your own making. Now contrast that with another person I knew. She was in a similar situation, hated her job, felt undervalued. But instead of complaining, she decided to do something about it. She started taking night classes to learn new skills. She networked like crazy, and when she felt ready, she quit her job and started her own business. Was it easy? Heck no. She faced rejection after rejection. There were times when she could barely make ends meet, but she persevered. She toughened up. And today, she's running a successful company, employing dozens of people, living life on her own terms. That's the difference between being soft and being tough. Soft people stay stuck. Tough people move forward no matter what obstacles are in their way. Now, I can already hear some of you thinking, but isn't it good to be compassionate? To be understanding? Absolutely. But here's the thing. True compassion isn't about coddling people. It's about helping them become the best version of themselves. And sometimes that means being tough. Think about a parent and a child. A soft parent gives in to every whim, never sets boundaries, never pushes the child to do better. A tough parent, they set high standards. They push their kids out of their comfort zones. They let them fail, fall, and figure things out on their own. Which child do you think will be better prepared for the real world? The same principle applies in every area of life. In business, in relationships, in personal growth, being soft might feel good in the short term, but it's a recipe for long-term failure. How many of you have stayed in a bad relationship because you were afraid of hurting the other person's feelings? How many of you have bitten your tongue instead of having that difficult conversation? How many of you have compromised your own happiness to keep the peace? That's being soft. And it doesn't do anyone any favors, not you and not the other person. Real love, real friendship, they're built on honesty, on mutual respect, on the ability to have those tough conversations. If you can't do that, you don't have a real relationship. You have a facade. In business, being soft is even more dangerous. The market doesn't care about your feelings. Your competitors aren't going to go easy on you because you're having a bad day. Customers aren't going to buy your product just because you tried really hard. I remember talking to a business owner who was struggling to make payroll. He had several employees who were underperforming, but he couldn't bring himself to fire them. They have families, he said. I don't want to hurt them. Noble sentiment, right? Wrong. By being soft, by avoiding that tough decision, he was putting the entire company at risk. He was potentially hurting all his employees, not just the underperforming. Sometimes being tough, making those hard decisions, is the most compassionate thing you can do. Now, I'm not saying you should be a tyrant. I'm not advocating for cruelty or ruthlessness. What I'm talking about is having the courage to face reality head on, to make tough decisions, to have difficult conversations, to push yourself and others to be better. Think about the great leaders in history, the ones who changed the world. Were they soft? Did they shy away from conflict? Did they prioritize being liked over being effective? No. They had vision, they had conviction, and they had the toughness to see things through, even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. You see, toughness isn't about being mean or aggressive. It's about resilience. It's about having the strength to keep going when things get tough. It's about being willing to face your fears, to confront your weaknesses, to push through discomfort. Let me give you an example. How many of you have ever tried to get in shape? You start a new exercise routine full of enthusiasm. The first day is great. You're pumped, you're motivated. But then what happens? The second day, you wake up sore, it's raining outside. The bed is warm and cozy. If you're soft, you hit the snooze button. You tell yourself you will do it tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes, does it? If you're tough though, you drag yourself out of bed, you put on your shoes. You get out there and you do the work, even though every fiber of your being is screaming at you to stop. That's what it takes to succeed. That's what it takes to change your life. It's not about waiting for motivation to strike. It's not about feeling good all the time. It's about doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but I don't want to be tough all the time. I don't want to always be pushing, always be fighting. And you know what? That's okay. Being tough doesn't mean you never rest. It doesn't mean you never have moments of softness. When you're working out, you're breaking down that muscle, pushing it to its limits. That's the tough part. But then you rest, you recover. That's when the muscle actually grows stronger. Life is the same way. You push hard, you face challenges, you do the tough things, and then you rest, you reflect, you recharge. You don't stay in that rest mode. You don't let softness become your default state. You use that rest to prepare for the next challenge, the next push, the next opportunity for growth. Failure is one of the biggest reasons people stay soft. They're so afraid of failing that they never even try. They stay in their comfort zones, never pushing, never growing, never really living. Failure is not your enemy. Failure is your teacher. It's your opportunity to learn, to grow, to get better. Every successful person you admire has failed, probably many, many times. The difference is they didn't let those failures stop them. They were tough enough to keep going. I remember talking to a young entrepreneur who was devastated because his first business had failed. He was ready to give up, to go back to a safe, comfortable job. But I asked him, what did you learn from this experience? At first, he couldn't see past his disappointment. But as we talked, he started to realize all the valuable lessons he'd learned about market research, about cash flow, about hiring the right people. That failure, painful as it was, had taught him more than any business school ever could. And you know what? His next venture was a huge success. Why? Because he was tough enough to learn from his failure instead of being defeated by it. We live in a world that often celebrates victimhood. A world that tells us it's okay to be soft, that we shouldn't have to face discomfort or difficulty. And you know what? That's a load of nonsense. Life is difficult. Life is challenging. And that's a good thing, because it's through those challenges that we grow. It's through those difficulties that we discover what we're really capable of. If you never lift anything heavy, your muscles will never grow. If you never face any mental challenges, your mind will never expand. If you never have to overcome obstacles, you will never develop resilience. So when life gets tough, when you face setbacks, when you encounter difficulties, don't complain. Don't look for someone to blame. Don't seek out pity or sympathy. Instead, get tough. Rise to the challenge. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? That's the mindset of a winner. That's the attitude that leads to success. When I say stop being soft, I'm not saying you should stop being human. I'm not saying you should never show emotion, never be vulnerable, never ask for help. In fact, it takes a lot of toughness to be vulnerable, to admit when you need help, to show your true feelings. What I'm talking about is developing the mental and emotional strength to face life's challenges head on, to not be derailed by every little setback, to have the courage to pursue your dreams even when it's hard, to stand up for what you believe in, even when it's unpopular. Let me give you an example. I once knew a woman who was in an abusive relationship. For years, she stayed making excuses for her partner, afraid of being alone. That was being soft. But you know what was tough? Finding the courage to leave, to start over, to face her fears and build a new life for herself. That took real strength, real toughness. Or think about someone battling addiction. Is it tough to keep using? To keep making excuses? To keep avoiding reality? No, that's the soft path. What's tough is admitting you have a problem, seeking help. Facing your demons head on. That's true toughness. Being tough isn't about never feeling fear or pain or doubt. It's about feeling those things and moving forward anyway. It's about having the courage to be honest with yourself and others. It's about doing what's right, not what's easy. How you can start developing this toughness. Because like any skill, it's something you can improve with practice. Start with small challenges. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier. Maybe it's having that conversation you have been avoiding. Maybe it's trying something new that scares you a little. Whatever it is, start small. Build your toughness muscle gradually. Change your relationship with discomfort. Instead of avoiding it, start seeing it as a sign of growth. When you feel uncomfortable, that means you're pushing your boundaries. That's a good thing. Develop a growth mindset. Instead of seeing challenges as threats, see them as opportunities. Instead of thinking, I can't do this, think I can't do this yet. That little word yet makes all the difference. Surround yourself with tough people. You know the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, so choose wisely. Seek out people who inspire you, who challenge you, who push you to be better. When you face a setback, don't wallow in self-pity. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to get better? Turn every failure into a stepping stone for future success. Set high standards for yourself and others. Don't settle for mediocrity. Don't accept excuses. Expect the best from yourself and the people around you. Yes, it's harder. Yes, you might face disappointment, but that's how you grow. That's how you achieve greatness. Take responsibility for your life. Stop blaming others for your problems. Stop waiting for someone to come and save you. You are the hero of your own story. Now, I want to address something important. Some of you might be thinking, but what about empathy? What about compassion? Aren't those important? Absolutely they are. But here's the thing. True empathy, true compassion comes from a place of strength, not weakness. Who's better equipped to help others? Someone who's barely keeping their own life together, or someone who's strong, capable, and resilient? Who can offer better support? Someone who falls apart at the first sign of trouble, or someone who's weathered their own storms and come out stronger? Being tough doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It means you're in a better position to actually help them. It means you can offer real support, not just empty words. It means you can inspire others by your example. Whether you're leading a company, a team, a family, or just yourself. Leadership requires toughness. It requires the ability to make hard decisions, to have difficult conversations, to hold people accountable. Soft leaders avoid conflict. They let problems fester because they're afraid of rocking the boat. They lower their standards to avoid disappointment, and in doing so, they fail the very people they're supposed to lead. Tough leaders, on the other hand, face problems head-on. They're not afraid to have those difficult conversations. They set high standards and help their people rise to meet them. They create an environment where people can grow, where they can achieve things they never thought possible. What kind of leader do you want to be? Which kind of leader do you want to follow? Now, I know some of you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but it's easier said than done. And you're right. It is easier said than done. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it. But that's the point. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Think about anything worthwhile you've ever achieved in your life. Was it easy? Probably not. Did it require you to be tough, to push through difficulties, to face your fears? I bet it did. And I bet the sense of accomplishment you felt was directly proportional to how tough it was to achieve. That's the secret that soft people never understand. The joy isn't in avoiding challenges, it's in overcoming them. The satisfaction isn't in staying comfortable. It's in pushing your limits and discovering what you're truly capable of. So I challenge you, stop being soft, stop making excuses, stop waiting for life to get easier. Instead, get tougher. Face your fears, push your limits, do the things you have been avoiding. Is it going to be comfortable? No. Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. But I promise you this, it will be worth it. Because on the other side of that discomfort, on the other side of that fear, is achievement. Is the life you have always dreamed of, but were too afraid to pursue. Remember, life doesn't get easier. You get stronger. Problems don't disappear. You get better at solving them. Fear doesn't go away. You learn to act despite it. Starting today, make a commitment to yourself. A commitment to stop being soft. A commitment to face life's challenges head on. A commitment to become the strongest, toughest, most resilient version of yourself. It won't happen overnight. It won't be easy. There will be times when you want to give up, when you want to go back to your old soft ways. But I want you to remember this moment. Remember why you decided to get tough. Remember what you're working towards. And when those moments of doubt come, because they will come, I want you to ask yourself this: what would the tough version of me do? And then do that, even if it's hard, especially if it's hard. You're capable of so much more than you realize. You have strength within you that you haven't even begun to tap into. But you will never discover that strength if you stay soft. You will never know what you're truly capable of if you always choose the easy path. So choose the tough path. Choose growth. Choose strength. Choose to become the person you know you can be. And remember, toughness isn't a destination. It's a journey. Every day you will face new challenges, new opportunities to be soft or to be tough. Choose toughness. Choose growth. Choose to be the person who faces challenges head on, who doesn't shy away from difficult conversations, who pushes through discomfort to achieve greatness. How this philosophy of toughness applies to different areas of your life. Because make no mistake, being tough isn't just about business or personal achievement. It's a way of approaching every aspect of your existence. Let's start with your health. How many of you have made New Year's resolutions to get in shape, eat better, quit smoking, or make some other health-related change? And how many of you have stuck with it? If you're like most people, probably not many. Why? Because it's tough, it's uncomfortable, it requires discipline and sacrifice. Your health is the foundation of everything else in your life. If you're not healthy, you can't perform at your best in your career. You can't be fully present for your loved ones. You can't pursue your passions with the energy and enthusiasm they deserve. So being tough when it comes to your health isn't just about looking good in the mirror. It's about giving yourself the best possible foundation for success in every area of your life. It's about having the energy to chase your dreams, the stamina to overcome obstacles, the clarity of mind to make good decisions. Being tough means getting up early to exercise when you would rather stay in bed. It means choosing the salad over the burger even when you're craving junk food. It means going to the doctor for regular checkups even if you're afraid of what you might find out. It means prioritizing sleep even when there's more work to be done or more fun to be had. Is it easy? No. Is it comfortable? Absolutely not. But is it worth it? You bet it is. Because when you're tough with your health, you're investing in your future. You're giving yourself the gift of vitality, of longevity, of the ability to fully enjoy the fruits of your labor. Relationships. This is an area where a lot of people struggle with being tough. They avoid difficult conversations. They compromise their own needs to keep the peace. They stay in toxic relationships because they're afraid of being alone. But let me tell you something. Real love, real friendship, real connection, these things require toughness. They require the courage to be vulnerable, to speak your truth, to set boundaries, to demand respect. Being tough in relationships means having the hard conversations. It means being honest about your feelings, even when it's uncomfortable. It means setting clear boundaries and sticking to them. It means being willing to walk away from relationships that no longer serve you, even if it's painful in the short term. It also means being tough with yourself. It means looking in the mirror and acknowledging your own faults and shortcomings. It means taking responsibility for your part in conflicts, rather than always blaming the other person. It means doing the hard work of personal growth so you can show up as the best possible partner, friend, or family member. When you're tough in your relationships, when you have the courage to be authentic and vulnerable, you actually create deeper, more meaningful connections because people respect strength. They're drawn to authenticity. They trust those who have the courage to speak their truth. So don't be afraid to be tough in your relationships. Set high standards for how you want to be treated and how you treat others. Have the difficult conversations. Be willing to walk away from relationships that don't align with your values. In the long run, this toughness will lead to more fulfilling, more authentic connections. Your career. This is an area where being tough is absolutely crucial. The business world isn't a place for the soft. It's a place of competition, of constant change, of high stakes and big risks. Being tough in your career means being willing to take calculated risks. It means putting yourself out there, even when you're afraid of failure. It means continuing to learn and grow, even when you're already successful. It means being willing to start over, to pivot, to reinvent yourself when necessary. It means having the courage to ask for what you're worth, to negotiate hard, to stand up for your ideas, even when they're unpopular, to take on challenges that stretch you beyond your comfort zone. It also means being tough with yourself. It means holding yourself to high standards. It means being your own harshest critic, always looking for ways to improve. It means taking responsibility for your mistakes and learning from them rather than making excuses or blaming others. When you're tough in your career, when you consistently push yourself to grow and improve, you become invaluable. You become the person who's called on for the big projects, who's trusted with the important decisions, who's looked to for leadership. So don't shy away from being tough in your career. Embrace challenges. Seek out opportunities to learn and grow. Be willing to fail, to look foolish, to step outside your comfort zone, because that's where the real growth happens. That's where you discover what you're truly capable of. Personal growth. This is perhaps the area where being tough is most important because it underlies everything else. Personal growth is about becoming the best possible version of yourself, and that requires a level of toughness that most people aren't willing to cultivate. Being tough in personal growth means being brutally honest with yourself. It means looking at your flaws, your weaknesses, your bad habits, and instead of making excuses or feeling sorry for yourself, deciding to do something about them. It means setting high standards for yourself and holding yourself accountable. It means doing the things you know you should do, even when you don't feel like it. It means pushing through resistance, through fear, through self-doubt. It means being willing to change your mind when presented with new information. It means admitting when you're wrong. It means being open to feedback even when it's hard to hear. And perhaps most importantly, it means never settling, never thinking you have made it, never stopping your journey of growth and improvement. Because the moment you think you have arrived, the moment you think you have got it all figured out, is the moment you start to stagnate. So be tough in your pursuit of personal growth. Challenge yourself every day. Read books that stretch your mind. Have conversations with people who disagree with you. Try new things. Face your fears. Push your limits. The tougher you are with yourself, the easier life becomes. When you consistently do the hard things, they start to become easier. When you regularly face your fears, they start to lose their power over you. When you're constantly growing and improving, you develop a confidence that no external circumstance can shake. When I talk about being tough, about not being soft, some people misinterpret this as a call to be harsh, to be unfeeling, to suppress emotions. But that's not toughness. That's just another form of weakness. True toughness isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about feeling them fully and not being controlled by them. It's about having the courage to be vulnerable, to admit when you're hurt or scared or unsure. It's about facing your emotions head on, understanding them, learning from them, but not letting them dictate your actions. A truly tough person isn't afraid to cry. They're not afraid to ask for help when they need it. They're not afraid to admit when they're wrong, because they know that these things don't make them weak. They make them human. And embracing your humanity with all its messiness and complexity is one of the toughest things you can do. So don't confuse toughness with emotional suppression or a lack of empathy. The toughest people I know are often also the most compassionate, the most empathetic, because they've faced their own struggles, they've overcome their own challenges, and that gives them the strength and understanding to help others do the same. Resilience, this is a key component of toughness, and it's something that's more important now than ever before. We're living in a world of constant change, of unprecedented challenges. The ability to bounce back from setbacks, to adapt to change, to keep going in the face of adversity. These are crucial skills. Being resilient means not letting failure define you. It means seeing setbacks as temporary, as learning opportunities rather than permanent defeats. It means maintaining a sense of optimism even in the darkest times. Resilience, it's not something you're born with. It's something you develop. And you develop it by being tough, by facing challenges head on, by pushing through discomfort. Every time you face a fear, every time you push through resistance, every time you get back up after being knocked down, you're building resilience. You're becoming tougher. You're becoming stronger. So seek out challenges. Embrace difficulties. See them not as obstacles, but as opportunities to build your resilience muscle. Because the more resilient you become, the more unstoppable you become. Mental toughness is about controlling your thoughts, your focus, your mindset. It's about being able to stay positive in negative situations. It's about being able to focus on solutions rather than problems. It's about being able to push through mental barriers and self-doubt. Developing mental toughness means becoming aware of your thoughts and learning to direct them. It means challenging negative self-talk and replacing it with positive, empowering beliefs. It means developing the ability to focus intensely on the task at hand, shutting out distractions and doubts. It means cultivating a growth mindset, believing that your abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. It means seeing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than threats to be avoided. And perhaps most importantly, it means taking control of your own narrative. You see, we all have a story we tell ourselves about who we are, what we're capable of, what we deserve. And for many people, this story is limiting. It's full of "I can't," and "I'm not good enough," and "that's not for people like me." Mental toughness is about rewriting that story. It's about choosing to believe in yourself, in your potential, in your ability to grow and change. It's about deciding that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you can achieve whatever you set your mind to. Is it easy? No. Our brains are wired to focus on the negative, to avoid risk, to stay in our comfort zones. But with practice, with persistence, you can rewire your brain. You can develop the mental toughness to overcome these natural tendencies. And when you do, when you develop that mental toughness, it changes everything. Because the biggest limits we face are usually the ones we place on ourselves. When you remove those limits, when you develop the mental toughness to push past your own doubts and fears, there's no telling what you can achieve. So how do you develop this mental toughness? It starts with awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts, to your self-talk. When you catch yourself thinking limiting thoughts, challenge them. Replace them with more empowering alternatives. Practice visualization. See yourself succeeding, overcoming challenges, achieving your goals. The more vividly you can imagine these scenarios, the more you're training your brain to believe they're possible. Develop daily habits that strengthen your mind. Meditation, journaling, reading, these are all excellent ways to develop mental clarity and resilience. And perhaps most importantly, put yourself in challenging situations. Just like you build physical strength by lifting weights, you build mental toughness by facing difficulties. So seek out challenges. Push yourself outside your comfort zone. Do the things that scare you. This journey towards toughness, towards resilience, towards becoming the strongest version of yourself, it's not an easy one. There will be times when you want to give up, when you want to go back to your old soft ways. But I want you to remember this. Every time you choose toughness over softness, every time you face a fear instead of running from it, every time you push through discomfort instead of avoiding it, you're growing, you're becoming stronger, you're moving closer to becoming the person you're capable of being. And that person, that tough, resilient, unstoppable version of you is capable of amazing things. They're capable of achieving goals you can't even imagine right now. They're capable of having a positive impact on the world that goes far beyond what you might think possible. So embrace the journey, embrace the discomfort, embrace the challenges, because on the other side of that discomfort, on the other side of those challenges is growth, is strength, is the life you have always dreamed of but were too afraid to pursue. Remember, life doesn't get easier. You get stronger. Problems don't disappear. You get better at solving them. Fear doesn't go away. You learn to act despite it. So starting today, make a commitment to yourself. A commitment to stop being soft. A commitment to face life's challenges head on. A commitment to become the strongest, toughest, most resilient version of yourself. It won't happen overnight. It won't be easy. But I promise you this, it will be worth it. Because when you're tough, when you're resilient, when you're constantly growing and improving, that's when you truly start living. That's when you start creating a life of purpose, of achievement, of fulfillment. So go out there, be tough, be strong, be resilient, and most importantly, be you. the strongest, most authentic version of you, because that's what the world needs. That's what you need. And that's what you're capable of becoming. Thank you.